The Arabian tribes had different accents and different dialects. Some of that leading to actual different pronunciation of letters. Some of those different pronunciations of letters would be reflected in how they represented the letter in writing. So if a word, one tribe pronounced the word bessah with a sin, they would then write it with a sin. Another neighboring tribe or faraway tribe, the same word with the same meaning might pronounce it with a sad, and thus their spelling system, they would write it with a sad. Similarly, the word rahma and rahmat. These are tribal differences in how do you stop on a word like this? Do you stop it with rahmat or do you stop with a rahmah? And their spelling systems, how they would write the word, were different according to how they would pronounce it. Okay, so Quraysh had their own spelling system because they had their own accent. And the Qurayshi accent, by testimony of all of Arabs, is the most fasih, the most strong and best chosen accent. And thus, their handwriting also, or their spelling system, was the most accepted as this is the best spelling system. Today, we might disagree, us Americans versus our brothers and sisters in Britain. I'm sure the British spelling system frowns terribly upon the American spelling system because we've changed so many things and omitted so many OU, GHs and just abbreviated to something much shorter. But as Americans, we might say, no, we like our spelling system. Our spelling system is better. Why complicate simple words and write them with so many letters when you can write them with so less letters? That's a different spelling system. We have a different spelling system slightly, but it's there between us and our brothers and sisters in Britain. The same thing, if you can think about it with Quraysh. Most of the Quran was written in the Qurayshi spelling system. Why? Well, first of all, the first 13 years of Islam was in Quraysh. So most of the Quran, probably, let's say, most of the timeline of the Quran being revealed, 13 years of it, was spent in Quraysh. That's one. I'm not sure about, can I say most of the Quran was revealed while they were in Mecca? I do not know the answer. So that's why I kind of stopped myself. I don't want to say that. I don't have proof for that. Another thing is Quraysh is considered the heart of Arabia, the heart of Arabs and the most educated of them. So think of the United States of America, think of New York, think of major educated metropolitan areas, maybe towns that have well-reputed universities, a university town, where you have the educated people, clustered. Quraysh was a cluster of educated people with the top education. So when you have a list of scribes and you have those from Quraysh versus those from out of Quraysh, the Qurayshi scribes were the more educated. So their system was considered to be the best system to write with. So yes, most of the Quran was scribed using the Qurayshi spelling system. And that's why Uthman radiallahu anhu wanted to make sure that he had 3 of Quraysh top scribes on this committee, just to make sure that there was no spelling mistake, although they're copying letter by letter. But again, humans make mistakes, and the way to eliminate or reduce mistakes is to put every kind of boundary possible. So increase the possibilities of review and authentication, which will decrease or completely eliminate possibilities of mistakes. So this is why, super duper, systems where checks and balances. So you have these 3 Qurayshis reviewing everything that's written. You have the Sahaba afterwards reviewing everything that was written. You have Uthman radiallahu anhu reviewing that after them, multiple layers of authentication. So that's why it's very important to have these 3 from Quraysh. Okay, let me read some of the chat before I go to the next box. I know some people have been writing some awesome comments. Okay. Sister Zinat is saying, you mean those reciters were also mastered also in Ahruf? No, they were masters in reciting the Quran in a manner that matched exactly the skeletal representation written in that Mushaf. Okay, so it's not going to be all 7 ahruf probably. It will just be that what they recite will match exactly what's represented without an add-in or subtracting letter. Whereas another Mushaf that has that added or subtracted letter, as we learned together, that's one interpretation of the ahruf, you have a different reciter who will recite it matching that, okay? We're not claiming numbers. We don't know. We just know that their recitation matched what they read, matched what was written. And remember, what's written is only the skeletal letters, void of any dots or any tashkil. Okay, Brother Ali says, I have read that Warsh is the best representation of the dialect of Quraysh. Wallahu alam, incorrect is Qira'at Abu Ja'far. Qira'at Abu Ja'far is the best representation of probably what the dialect of Quraysh was. Abu Ja'far is one of the teachers of Warsh, but as the Qira'at Abu Ja'far, that's the closest one, which is with also to the best educated guess of scholars. We don't have enough evidence to absolutely match every utterance of the riwayah of Abu Ja'far to every dialect that we know of with Quraysh. There's not enough information to make that matching. Yes, Qira'at Abu Ja'far. Okay, so now we're ready to move on. I think Wadia has a question. So go ahead, Brother Wadia. I'm going to unmute you. Tafaddal.
Jazakumullahu khairan. I have 2 questions.
Two
The
questions.
first question is the handwriting system.
Yes.
Was it chosen by Allah or it was left up to the Sahaba and then confirmed by Allah and His Messenger?
No, so the spelling system, the writing system of Quraysh was there even before the Prophet ﷺ was born. So it's how Quraysh used to write and how a different tribe used to write. So when the Quran was revealed, and the Prophet ﷺ used to call on his companions to come write, they would come write with whatever spelling system they had been using all their lives. That's it. It's very simple.
Okay, the second question, for the different ahruf that were sent to many places, and then each reciter would recite, matching with what do you call it? Matching the skeletal letters of the harf.
Right.
But the huruf were spread. Like, what if you had people that read from the second harf and the reciter was reading from this first harf?
Okay, remember, our interpretation of al-ahruf is according to Ibn al-Jazari's interpretation. Which isn't like, so it's not like number 1. You recite the Quran from A to Z, only changing tashkil. No, it's not like that. He's talking about al-ahruf. What's meant by ahruf is that when there are differences, these differences are 7 types, and here are the different types. So there's not like this reads the Quran according to the first harf, and another person will read the Quran to the second harf. It's not like that.
So it was mixed?
Yes, it's a combination. Like, so let's say you're in Salah, and you have an imam from out of town who's introduced to your jama'ah to say, this person knows the Quran according to the 10 qira'at. And they start reciting a qira'ah that's not the one you've memorized. You've memorized Hafs, okay? So you start listening. So you'll automatically start looking forward to and listening and matching what differences, right? You'll say, oh, he recited that word differently. You actually might start counting. I know some people who do that. It's a human, it's a natural reaction. So to start comparing and maybe even counting it on your fingers, so that after Salah you look up your Quran and you're very interested. So let's say they read a surah and you counted about 3 or 4 different utterances where there's a difference. You'll notice probably that these differences are one of the 7. Or all of the 7, or if you had only 5 differences, maybe 4 of them will match the first type and 1 of them will match one of the other 7. So you'll notice that there's a difference in tashkil in some of the words. And you don't know, does that cause difference of meaning? So you have to look up in a dictionary, for example. You'll also notice that maybe that they've added a wow in wasari'u versus you've memorized it the other way around, or vice versa. And then you notice that the other words wasn't really any difference in tashkil or difference in letters. Just their ra, for example, is muraqaqa, for example. Is that even a harf? So it's not like the only difference this person will read at the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu, the only difference between him and the next one is in tashkil. No, it contains all of these 7 differences are going on at the same time, depending on what ayah they're reading and what letter, what word they're reading and what surah they're reading.
So the 7 styles that you mentioned last lesson,
7 differences, the 7 ahruf.
the 7 differences do not represent the 7 ahruf. They just represent what can be part of the 7 ahruf.
Ibn Jazir is saying these are the 7 ahruf. He's saying the 7 ahruf mean 7 ways of differing.
7 ways of differing. But then they can be mixed.
Yes, definitely.
I thought the mixing them would be the qira'at. I know we haven't gotten to that.
We're not there yet. All we're saying is, according to Ibn Jazir's interpretation, when there's a difference in reciting between 2 Sahaba, such as Umar radiallahu anhu and Hisham bin Hakim, those differences do not go outside the realm of these 7. And here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are the ahruf according to Ibn Jazir.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah, so it's a completely different look at things. And I don't know, I'm baffled as to why the second opinion of interpretation is much more widely taught today, whereas it was actually not taught at the time of Ibn Jazir. It wasn't the popular one. It wasn't the one that was widely accepted by scholars. I don't know why. Maybe it's easier to comprehend when you just say it's just this letter, and it's easier to comprehend in general. But I don't want to even mention it because it's not the chosen interpretation. The chosen understanding of ahruf is there are 7 ways that these differences may present themselves. So you're listening to another recitation that we have today, and you start noticing, this is different from me in this way with tashkil, and then it keeps on going, and you say, oh, this is different than the way I do with the second way of differencing. And then you'll notice, oh, this is the third way. So the differences do not exceed these 7 ways of being different. And those are the ahruf. In the Arabic language, when you say ahruf, it actually does mean, one of the meanings in Arabic is a difference. A harf can mean a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Ibn Jazir's interpretation, he's not saying that 7 styles equal the 7 ahruf.
He's saying the 7 ahruf are the 7 ways of the differences that occur in the Quran.
Okay, so we don't, because I understood it as, for example, in the slides, it says 1, the difference in haraka, but not in the meanings.
Yes.
So that's not we don't say that's the first harf. We just say this might exist in one of the huruf.
Yeah, we say one harf or a harf means difference. So basically Ibn Jazir is saying a harf means a way of differing. The first way of differing is with tashkil, but not meaning, for example.
Okay, طيب. Inshallah, understood.
Inshallah. It needs, we need to go back to those slides over and over again, reread them, re-understand them, and re-relate them to the history of what we're doing. I encourage everyone to do that, inshallah.
Inshallah. And maybe with the qira'at, we'll understand more.
Yeah, we're going to have to revisit the Ibn Jazari's interpretation of ahruf over and over again. Maybe we need to, it needs to be hung up on a wall somewhere. A Mona Lisa has to be created of ahruf. Maybe someone, Brother Wadi, are you good at this? Put it all on one slide, just all 7 bubbles with one example maybe for each. Have it we can, so a quick reference where we look at it over and over, inshallah. If you have time. Or anyone other than my Brother Wadi. This is an awesome project. It will help you as students of knowledge and definitely help us to deliver it, inshallah. Okay, were those your 2 questions?
Yes.
More? You have more?
I do, but inshallah they will come. I know I do.
Okay, okay. Don't hold back, inshallah. Bil'aks, I don't want to rush through this. This is the Jama' al-Uthmani, I think, is the most crucial in understanding the history. Let me read some questions here, and then I'll see Brother Ali has his hand up. So let me read what you've written, Brother Ali, so I can prepare myself for your question, inshallah. So Brother Ali, you're saying the ahruf is just a species of differences. Yes, so according to Ibn Jazari, that's correct, Brother Ali. So it's a different ways of differing, that were different kinds of possible permutations. Jazakallah khair. I like how you said it, different possible permutations within individual ayat. Jazakallah khair. Okay. Yeah, qira'at, we're not there yet. So Zina, Sister Zina says, Zayd ibn Thabit wrote only one mushaf. Zayd ibn Thabit collected everything that was written in front of the Prophet ﷺ, which contained everything. When we say everything written in front of the Prophet ﷺ with two witnesses, that means it contained everything. So it contained every harf that the Quran was revealed in. If we understand ahruf in variations, then it contained those. We mentioned yesterday that the mushaf would sometimes, the same word would be written twice, like sari'u and then wasari'u. Minhum, minkum, both would be written in the Mushaf Zayd or As-Siddiqi. So it contained everything. It contained all 7 variations or ahruf. Brother Ali returns and says there's no 7 styles according to him. Oh, yeah. So you're replying to each other, which is wonderful. Okay, Sister Zina. Okay, Sister Zina, if you still don't get it after my answer, let me know, inshallah. Okay, there's a lot of chat. Okay, let me take Brother Ali, inshallah. Let me hear from you. And if Sister Zina, if you still have a question, let me know. Sister Ruma says that one example of ahruf duri recitation. We know recitations or qira'at, they come later, about 200 years later. We're not there yet, okay? So inshallah, please be patient. We're getting there slowly but surely. I don't want to basically jump the gun and cause confusion, inshallah. I just want to make sure everyone understands what we're saying now and how it's related to what we have already said, inshallah. Go ahead, Brother Ali.